Imagine you're a military planner for a mid-tier adversary. Your government has given you $50 million, not billion, million, and one mission. Degrade U.S. naval power projection in the Western Pacific to the point where a carrier strike group cannot safely operate within 1,500 kilometers of your coastline. You don't need to sink an aircraft carrier. You don't need to win a war. You just need to make the risk calculus so catastrophic that Washington decides the game isn't worth the candle. Not in theory, not on paper. In the scenarios that have kept U.S. Navy admirals awake at night since 2015. $50 million. That's roughly what the Pentagon spends on a single evolved Sea Sparrow missile Block 2, the defensive interceptor carried by every U.S. destroyer. It's 1/50th the estimated cost of a Ford-class aircraft carrier. It's what the U.S. Navy burns through in fuel, food, and personnel costs for a carrier strike group deployment every 6 days. The asymmetry is already baked in. The question is how far a smart adversary can stretch it. Let me show you how. The first thing you do is not fire a single weapon. You spend $8 million on intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Because before you can kill a carrier strike group, you have to find it. And finding a carrier in the open ocean is not a weapons problem. It's a data problem. The U.S. Navy operates 11 aircraft carriers. At any given moment, roughly 3 are underway in the Pacific. Each one sits inside a defensive bubble roughly 700 kilometers across, protected by guided missile destroyers, cruisers, attack submarines, and airborne early warning aircraft. Finding that bubble from space is not the hard part. Commercial satellite imagery can locate a carrier in port, but once it's underway, conducting emissions control, no radar, no radio, no electronic signature. The Pacific Ocean is 165 million square kilometers. You don't search all of it, you narrow. Your $8 million buys you a network of roughly 40 commercial fishing vessels retrofitted with passive electronic support measures, essentially antennas that listen for radar emissions without emitting anything. At $200,000 per vessel, you're placing them across the South China Sea, the Philippine Sea, and the East China Sea, the 3 maritime choke points every carrier transit must pass through. These vessels don't look like intelligence platforms. They look like fishermen, because they are fishermen. When a U.S. destroyer lights up its Spy-6 radar, which it must do to protect the carrier, your passive sensors record the bearing, the signal characteristics, and the timestamp. 1 vessel gives you a line of bearing, 3 give you a rough fix, 12 spread across 1,000 kilometers of ocean give you a track. This is not speculation. In 2021, the Navy's own war games demonstrated that a distributed network of commercial vessels with passive sensors could track a carrier strike group through the Western Pacific with sufficient fidelity to cue long-range weapons. The technology is commercial off the shelf. The concept is older than most of the sailors on those ships. Price tag so far? $8 million. And you haven't fired a shot. Now you need to overwhelm the defenses. This is where the analysis usually goes wrong. People picture anti-ship ballistic missiles descending from space at Mach 10, the Chinese DF-21D, the so-called carrier killer. But those missiles cost $12 to $15 million each. You need multiple shots per target to guarantee a hit. Your entire budget buys 3, maybe 4 missiles. Against a carrier strike group with hundreds of defensive countermeasures, that's not an attack, that's a donation. The smarter play is volume. Your $32 million buys you 400 Shahed-136 class one-way attack drones at roughly $80,000 per unit. At scale, these airframes cost less than a mid-range luxury car. Each carries a 40-kilogram warhead. Each has a range of 2,000 kilometers. Each has a radar cross-section smaller than a seagull. Now, individually, a Shahed-class drone is not a threat to a destroyer. An SM-2 interceptor, $2.1 million per round, will swat it out of the sky before it reaches visual range. But that is precisely the point. A single Arleigh Burke-class destroyer carries 96 vertical launch system cells. In a typical loadout, roughly 30 to 40 of those cells are allocated to air defense, standard missiles of various types, evolved Sea Sparrows, and the close-in rolling airframe missile system. That means a single destroyer can defend against perhaps 30 to 40 incoming threats before its magazine dry on defensive munitions. You're sending 400. Not all at once. That would be self-defeating. A single coordinated volley gets chewed up by the Aegis combat system, which can track and engage over 100 targets simultaneously. Instead, you send them in waves. 4 waves of 100, each wave spaced 20 minutes apart. Enough time for the previous wave to be fully engaged, not enough time for a replenishment ship to pull alongside and reload the VLS cells. Wave 1 arrives. The destroyers engage. Aegis tracks each target, assigns priorities, launches SM-2s and SM-6s at $2 to $4 million per round. Assume an 85% intercept rate, generous given that these drones fly low, fly slow, and have radar signatures that blend with surface clutter. 85 Shaheds destroyed. 15 get through. 15 40-kilogram warheads strike across the superstructure of a billion-dollar warship. The ship doesn't sink, but its spy radar arrays are shredded. Its flight deck is cratered. Its combat information center is blind. Wave 2 arrives. With the picket destroyers now degraded, the carrier's own defenses, ESSM Sea Sparrows, and the Phalanx CIWS, a 20mm Gatling gun with a 1,500-meter effective range, are all that remain. Phalanx carries 1,550 rounds. Against a drone moving at 185 kilometers per hour, it has roughly 4 seconds of engagement time. If it misses, and against a small radar cross-section at low altitude it often does, that drone strikes the carrier's island or flight deck. The math is not on the Navy's side. 4 waves, 400 drones, total cost to the adversary, $32 million. Total cost of ammunition expended by the US Navy just to survive, conservatively $200 million. And that's before you account for the physical damage. But here's what should truly terrify naval strategists. These drones are not launched from a sovereign nation's territory carrying a flag that can be retaliated against. They're launched from modified container ships sailing under flags of convenience in international waters. Attribution is a diplomatic quagmire. Does the United States strike the launch vessel, a Liberian-flagged container ship with a crew of 23 Filipino nationals, based on circumstantial evidence? Does it strike the nation suspected of orchestrating the attack? Does it do nothing and absorb the loss? This is not a hypothetical. In December 2023, Houthi forces in Yemen launched a coordinated drone swarm against US Navy vessels in the Red Sea. The drones were Shahed-derived. The cost exchange was documented by the US Naval Institute. $2,000 drones drawing $2 million interceptors. The Houthis have less than 1/1000th the resources of a peer competitor. Scale that math to an adversary with a real budget and the picture becomes existential. The swarm doesn't sink the carrier. It was never meant to. The swarm's job is to strip away the defensive layers, to force the destroyers to expend their magazines, to blind the sensors, to isolate the high-value unit. Once the escorts are magazine dry and sensor blind, you close the kill chain with something the carrier cannot evade. Your remaining $10 million buys you 40 supersonic anti-ship cruise missiles, something in the class of the Russian P-800 Onyx or the Chinese YJ-12, acquired through an intermediary at export pricing. These are not hypersonic superweapons. They are 1990s technology, Mach 2.5, 300-kilometer range, sea skimming at 3 meters above the waves. Their defining characteristic is not sophistication, it is saturation. When your first wave crosses the radar horizon at 25 nautical miles, the carrier has approximately 36 seconds from detection to impact. If the escorts have already depleted their defensive magazines fighting off the drone swarm, which they have because that was the plan, then the only layer remaining is the carrier's own Phalanx CIWS and its decoy systems. Nolka active decoys, chaff, electronic warfare suites designed to seduce or confuse incoming seekers. Against 40 missiles arriving simultaneously from multiple bearings, the math is catastrophic. Even assuming a 70% decoy success rate, wildly optimistic against sea-skimming supersonic threats that give decoys less than 10 seconds to function, 12 missiles penetrate the final defensive layer. A Ford-class carrier is 337 meters long and displaces 100,000 tons. It can absorb multiple hits, but 12 supersonic missiles, each with a 300-kilogram warhead, striking across the flight deck, the island, and below the waterline, will render it a burning, listing hulk incapable of flight operations for months, if it survives at all. Total expenditure? $50 million. This is not a movie script. Every weapon system described here exists. Every cost figure is drawn from publicly available procurement data, Congressional Budget Office reports, and the US Naval Institute's own analyses. The sensor network, the drone swarm, the saturation strike, these are not speculative technologies. They are current capabilities deployed today in theaters where the US Navy operates. The reason this scenario works is not because the adversary is more advanced. It's because the cost exchange mathematics of naval warfare have fundamentally inverted. A Ford-class carrier costs $31 billion to build and $7 million per day to operate. An SM-6 interceptor costs $4.3 million per round. A Phalanx CIWS carries 1,550 rounds and must hit a target smaller than a motorcycle at 450 meters per second. The defense is more expensive, more complex, and more fragile than the offense, and the offense can afford to miss. The U.S. Navy understands this. In 2022, then Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Michael Gilday testified to Congress that the Navy's surface fleet was not adequately equipped to handle a massed drone attack. In 2023, the Navy's own large-scale exercise demonstrated that a carrier strike group facing a coordinated drone swarm suffered unacceptable losses in 18 of 22 simulation runs. This is not alarmism. It is the Navy's own assessment of its vulnerability. The adversary doesn't need to match the U.S. Navy ship for ship, dollar for dollar, or technology for technology. They just need to make the cost of operating in their waters higher than the strategic value of doing so. And with $50 million against a $31 billion platform, they can. Type carrier or drone in the comments. One represents the past century of naval power, the other represents its future. There is no right answer, but there is a right question. At what cost exchange ratio does power projection become self-defeating? This is DIB Dispatch, where billion-dollar projects meet battlefield reality.